School is starting up in a lot of places around, well, the Western world. As weird as that sounds, because I'm back in my day, to just pull an old man moment for a second. I can remember one time, okay, just maybe because the calendar worked out in a funny way, but we normally went back to school after Labor Day, but a lot of kids are going back to school, so you need to know now more than ever, because hey, it wasn't that long ago when we were talking about the degeneracy of the public school system, and it starts with the teachers, okay? And here's the thing, being a teacher, it should be a pretty cut and dry job, okay? I can remember, even throughout my entire time throughout the public school system, and yeah, I went through a bunch of different schools. Been thinking about that, 5 different first grade teachers and a whole host of other grade school teachers. It was a big kerfuffle, okay? Moved around a lot as a kid. But even still, oh man, I can probably only remember like 2 or 3 teachers really making an impact. The rest of them were just kind of there, okay? Maybe that's why I don't have a glowing review of my time in the public school system and why I'm so critical about all this stuff. But none of the teachers, okay, went out of their way to interject their own political ideology, okay? And one teacher in particular that Project Veritas was taking a look at, because thank God some institution out there is doing some actual investigative journalism at this point, not just reposting something that their friend from across the cubicle wrote about something and then just saying, well, sources say, okay, we all know how that echo chamber journalism works, okay? But at least Project Veritas has the cameras out there, and sure, they just sauce up somebody and then they end up saying some dumb shit about what's going on in the inner workings of CNN. But they were looking specifically at one ANTIFA, openly ANTIFA teacher, Gabriel Gipe. Last year was exposed by Project Veritas for pushing his ANTIFA agenda on kids in the classroom in Inderkum High School. Okay, great, wonderful, fantastic. The kids that are just going to be entering either higher education where this type of ideology is going to be pushed on them even harder, or just entering the greater world, okay, where they're just going to go out there and find themselves, and then hopefully, at least in Gipe or Gipe, whatever the fuck his name is, in his hope that they'll just go out there and join the black bloc by the time that they get out there, and I'm sure there'll be some cause or some election in the near future that they can go and try to disrupt or whatever. But like the headline says, this is why trust in American schools is eroding. Outrage over ANTIFA teachers. Oh yeah, right. So he got fired for having all of his ideology exposed, but he got fired. And there was a golden parachute in it for him so he can get a bunch more knacker tattoos. $190,000 payout. The school board blames California teachers unions for making it impossible to fire staff. So look at all of these things that we can tackle right here. Okay, socialist ideology. We'll take a look at that as well. Okay, that's probably the one that I'm least concerned about. Antifa, pretty concerned about that. But teachers unions and unions in general, oh, fire up the rant alarm, because it could be getting spicy. There's growing outrage over a California school board decision to give a pro-communism Antifa teacher a generous $190,000 payout instead of firing him after exposing him for trying to indoctrinate kids to become revolutionaries. Instead of teaching them, you know, the basics, the fundamentals, reading, writing, arithmetic. Well, I guess he's a high school teacher, so you know what, learning how to craft an essay, okay. Teaching them history. This dude has no fucking idea how to do any kind of algebra or anything that could actually help people. He just has really terrible choice and exercise regimen, because nice set of tits you got there, bro. But again, I wouldn't be hiring anybody who openly has such a murderous tattoo on their chest, okay, like, excuse me, Mr. Gipe or Gipe, whatever the fuck your name is. You understand that your tattoo is symbolic, there we go, symbolic isn't a word. Symbolic. See, my own personal interactions with the public school district are just coming to the forefront. But no, don't you understand that tattoo on your chest is symbolic of 100 million dead people in the course of the 20th century? Would you care to back up those claims? No, exactly. Anyways, but again, I don't want anybody with any sort of a fucking political agenda like that, because if you're that devout about it, like, I wouldn't even want somebody, like, you guys know that I'm a pretty big Trump guy. I wouldn't want anybody with a, you know, like a Donald Trump portrait, or even just that meme picture of him riding a tank with a bald eagle in the background. That'd be a sweet tattoo, but even still, I wouldn't want that. Okay, I would want somebody who's educating the youth, the next generation coming up, to be as unbiased ideologically as you can get. But that's me being idealistic, and I would just rather prefer the public school district to just be burnt to the fucking ground. That's awfully Antifa of me. Anyways, Gabriel Gipe was last year exposed by Project Veritas, a teacher at Inderkum High School. He plastered his classrooms with photos of former Chinese leader Mao Zedong with a slogan, anti-fascist action. Okay, like, if he was a history teacher, I don't know what his area of expertise was other than just receding hairline, buck teeth, and terrible choices and tattoos. If he was a history teacher and they were going to be talking about a Great Leap Forward or the Cultural Revolution, and here's a picture of Mao, he sucks, we should probably throw things at his picture. Like, if he was doing that, that would be fine, but of course that's not what he's about. Probably everybody had to say the pledge of allegiance to the dear leader's picture. The Natomas Unified School District placed him on paid leave pending an investigation, and 4 months later struck a deal with him that he received $190,000 as he tendered his resignation. Imagine that. Fucking imagine that. Getting a golden parachute on the way out. Thanks for your activism. We'll just go ahead and replace you with somebody who probably has at least better tits, and probably helps, you know, check off another box, because, you know, hey, I can't even say straight, but a white male, no, you don't mark off enough boxes out there. The deal was made public this week. Now there's growing outrage over the payout. Yeah, no, exactly, because I don't know what the average pay for a teacher is, but I'd take a wild guess that is probably somewhere in the realm of 4 years' salary, okay, for most teachers. Just saying, they aren't living high on the hog, but it's good enough money to get an Antifa banner, okay, and a creepy picture of Mao Zedong. What the fuck is wrong with you? Many critics say that it's another example of the double standard that is permeating America. One rule for conservative thinkers, and another for anyone who leans to the left. Yeah, no, exactly. This guy gets just about $200,000 in order to just take off for a while, and you can join another union in another part of California. Don't worry about it. We won't do all those types of background checks out there for you. But what about the teachers who didn't want to get the jab? Do you think they got treated to a 6-digit payout? Yeah, exactly. This exorbitant payout for the teacher who should have been terminated on the spot is illustrative of why trust in schools is eroding so quickly. The settlement, paid in public dollars, oh great, only incentivizes bad actors to bring their activism to the classroom and then sit back and wait for the windfall of cash. Erica Sanzi, director of outreach for Parents Defending Education, told the Daily Mail. Harmeet Kate Dillon, oh sweet, former vice chairwoman of the California Republican Party, echoed the anger. She said it was indicative of the hold the teachers' unions have over the school. Exactly. No, just pointing out the obvious. I wouldn't say that that's anger, okay? Like, there's not a lot of emotional arguments that are being expressed right here, because you can win on the fact. Like, what was this guy standing within the school? Was he an integral part? Did he deserve that $190,000 or $190,000 payout? Okay, for his resignation. If it was so easy to come to that resolution, I highly doubt it. Was he infusing his curriculum with his own personal ideology, thereby affecting the quality of education received by those students? Very likely, considering Project Veritas was on the case to expose this type of stuff. So yeah, was the school district right for getting rid of him if he was jeopardizing the education? 100%. But it just goes to show you with the unions, in case you guys forgot, remember, the Chicago School District, the Chicago Teachers Union, stayed out of the classroom longer than any other school district in the entirety of the country over the fact that they weren't feeling safe, or they weren't feeling taken care of by their schools because the kids weren't being forced to get the jabs. They had an opt-out clause. Same thing was happening in Los Angeles as well. New York teachers unions, unions in general, they're important to a point, to establish a certain ground level when it comes to rules. Okay, and proper treatment of workers. I understand that, okay? But it comes to a point. It's kind of like democracy. You only needed it for a little amount of time in order to establish those ground rules, and then it was supposed to dissolve. But people get in these positions of power, and yeah, that power is just all too alluring, and they don't want to give it up. That's a big problem. Anyways, back to what Dylan had to say. This is a classic example of the death grip the California Teachers Association has on both our schools and our politicians. They've made it virtually impossible to fire even the most harmful, corrupt, and anti-learning teachers. Now, stick to the facts. He got fired, or at least they came to a settlement. It was an unfortunate settlement, but he did, okay? The teachers repeatedly violated multiple school norms about policing the classroom, and yet he had been paid off handsomely to leave, like a squatter in an abandoned building. But it looks like he put some of that money to good use. Did you see that glamour shot he took? Like, he's really living it up right now. Like, ugh, what a knacker, okay? He's got the all cops are bastards, fuck the police shirt. But I bet you he was probably, whatever his fucking Instagram or whatever his Twitter account is, he was probably cheering on the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago, right? All cops are selectively bastards, right? 2 + 2 = I don't know what the fuck else. A whole bunch of, like, you just got terrible tattoos, okay? And Ingsoc, again, some bastardized version of Batman, I guess. I don't fucking know. Whatever the fuck. He's a disaster of a human being. And yet, Sacramento Democrats are unified in their opposition to charter schools, vouchers, school choice, and parental rights. The education of California's children seems to be the lowest priority of the school system, she told DailyMail.com. Yeah, no, exactly. You should be allowed to have school choice, okay? Make the schools that work the best for the students the most profitable one. It's almost like the government can't do anything right. But this is California, okay? And the solution, at least to the people in California, is more government. Congressional candidate Kevin Killy told Daily Mail the teacher has admitted to turning his classroom into an indoctrination center, with this professed goal of making his students Antifa revolutionaries. But Antifa is just an idea. I heard that from the president. For the district to reward him with a golden parachute is outrageous. It's also a sign that the teacher was not afraid, or was not a far field from a broader agenda of California's education establishment, which recently succeeded in getting Gavin Newsom and the legislature a mandate CRT as a high school graduation requirement. Sorry, what? Oh my God. Get your kids out of public schools, or just leave California and leave those shitty politics behind. Natomas School District Super Nintendo Chris Evans, oh wow, Captain America down pat, in defense of the decision, appears to blame the California Teachers Association Union. Okay, let's abolish unions. California is not an easy place to fire a teacher. I think everyone knows that. Yeah, imagine that. Project Veritas filmed Gipe undercover last year in the damning footage. He was filmed saying, "I have an Antifa flag on my classroom wall." Your classroom? Oh, right. That's right, comrade. I understand. And a student complained about it. He said it made him feel uncomfortable. Yeah, he just didn't know whenever his desk would get set on fire in the name of the revolution. Well, this Antifa flag is meant to make fascists feel uncomfortable. Calling students fascists. Oh my God, he doesn't even understand it. He doesn't get it, but he's just one of these dyed-in-the-wall ideologues, okay? These are your teachers that are out there. Is that every teacher? No. But do they have a lot of problems within these unions protecting these types of creeps? Okay, just take a look at the pages of Libs of TikTok for proof of concept on this one. There's a bunch of fucking bad apples in this scenario. It's at least enough to be made cognizant of. So if you feel uncomfortable, going back to the Antifa flag is supposed to make fascists feel uncomfortable. Fascists are not welcome here, or whatever fucking half a fruit shit that he'd be chanting at the front of his classroom while not teaching anything productive. I don't really know what to tell you. Maybe you shouldn't be aligning with the values that this Antifa flag is antithetical to. I have 180 days to turn students into revolutionaries, he told an undercover reporter. Put up a poster of Chairman Mao in his classroom and encouraged kids to attend right-wing demonstrations as counter-protesters. Oh Lord, Glenn Beck just put on about 120 pounds. Oh, that's Chris Evans? Oof, Captain America down super bad. He said he would even give them extra credit for doing so. Yeah, fuck this guy. Oh, I was going to make a joke about him probably being one of those creeps that are down there at a protest who would put a bike lock in a bag or into a tube sock and swing it and hit somebody in the head. But the guy who actually did that was a California teacher. So it's hard to joke about things because reality is just this fucked up. I post a calendar every week. I have students show up to protests, community events, tabling, food distributions, all sorts of things. Oh, so stopping, the needy for getting food. You're a good man. You're a very good man. When they go, they take pictures, write up a reflection. That's their extra credit. Last year, Evans, the superintendent, sat down with Project Veritas in an attempt to absolve the school of any wrongdoing. Listen, we'd want to get rid of this fucking fun guy. Shut up. But to be completely honest, we got to go through the students' union. Okay, we got to form a complaint, and if there's not enough complaints against them, and blah, 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 whatever. The poster was added over time. I'm completely disappointed in the way it was handled. Oh, okay. Chastised the journalist for exposing Gipe with their own cameras rather than asking for formal permission from him and the school board. Well, again, public people pay for those schools to be opened. They're all run on taxpayer dollars, just like that golden parachute that was paid to this fucking commie. Hopefully he can use it while Pinochet's throwing him off the helicopter. I'm just saying we need to get that back into function and have it fly over the wonderful streets of desolate California. Hopefully they can land on one of the tent cities in order to cushion their fall. A boy can dream. Gipe's case is in sharp contrast to that of Tanner Cross, a conservative teacher who was suspended last year for his role after publicly condemning the transgender policies being pushed by Loudoun County School Board. Is that even close to being in Virginia? Because Loudoun County is in Virginia, okay? I don't know for sure who Tanner Cross is. But again, yeah, I'm sure he was probably given quite the severance package. Swift kick in the ass on the way out, okay? If he was even allowed to box up any of his belongings that could have been left at the school. He was ultimately reinstated after a public legal battle and public backlash towards the school. Well, good for him! But he has to go through all of those problems. He has to go through the court system on this one, so he had to fight tooth and nail. He had to spend thousands of dollars. He didn't receive thousands of dollars, and then he had a black mark next to his name for at least the rest of his teaching career. Fucking retarded. That's why I am so very much against unions, public school boards, and, just Antifa revolutionaries. Because again, how many thoughts do you think pass through that guy's head that don't involve dicks, balls, and setting stuff on fire? Just enough to indoctrinate next year's crop of kids. With all of that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.